Hey friends, on today's podcast I'll be going over a Neon Revolt article entitled Fist Pumps and False Flags. If you're unfamiliar with Neon Revolt, I suggest going to neonrevolt.com and checking out his extensive work into the Q phenomenon. All that and more to come on tonight's True Reporting. Hey friends, in front of me I have the newest article from Neon Revolt. You're well aware that I go over a lot of his posts just because they're worth it. They're very intricate and well done, and I appreciate the work he does. I really do. It's entitled Fist Pumps and False Flags. There is a very strong storm going on right now at my house, so if you hear thunder in the background, I hope it doesn't bother you. It might add to the mood, who knows. Anyways, let's go ahead and hop into it. This is True Reporting. So this was issued on June 27th today, and it says, whoa, hashtag new Q. What summoned him? This pic. And this is from an anonymous, and it's from Josh Iniger. And it says, breaking, police surrounding a JetBlue flight at JFK and some kind of security incident. Again with the JetBlues, right? So Anon responds, same plane that was in Q's picture, JetBlue Airbus A321, probably not related though. And then Q shows up. Coincidence, review image, location, nothing provided is random. San Francisco Airport to JFK, A321, direct flight, Q. Okay, so review the images Q posted. Flight in the air, plane in the air. Looks like plane landing. I previously wrote about these drops with a heavy dose of speculation in this post. Then we see, whoa, has the Rice Queen donned a white hat? Hashtag new Q, QAnon, the Great Awakening. So it says, quick follow-up to last night's post about the planes, and Anon noticed a Warlock call sign flying out of Lexington. I'm also sure you have heard about the C-130 crash that happened a short while later. So right here, video soon appeared of law enforcement entering the plane. We can check this out real quick for you guys. So yeah, definitely a ton of police. Looks pretty intense. Look armed. They look like they were armed. So it says, breaking, new video shows cops entering the JetBlue plane at JFK. According to its tail number, appears to be flight 1623 to Los Angeles. Departed gate just before 7:30, but never left the ground. A Fox News producer had this to add. Update from Port Authority Police, JetBlue flight JFK, false alarm sent to tower as a result of a radio communication failure. The plane was expected and cleared. No security threat. And then here is a FFA statement. JetBlue 623, Airbus A320 experienced a radio equipment problem while taxiing for departure of John F. K. International Airport tonight at 8 p.m. And here's the flight path from earlier that day, San Francisco to JFK. So we see San Francisco right here, and the flight pattern straight across the Midwest and then landing in JFK Airport. Another Anon noted that it was headed back to Los Angeles. And when LEOs entered the plane, they told everyone to put their hands up. Now check this out. Pretty crazy, huh? Daniel Cruz, I've never been told to put my hands up on an airplane, but this happened on our JetBlue plane back to Los Angeles. Super scary moment as the SWAT light team came down the aisle, guns out. Hashtag JetBlue. Slightly unnerving for the passengers, I imagine, but better than falling out of the sky. But what's even more suspect is that Tony Schwartz was on that plane. Tony Schwartz, the CEO of the Energy Project, also claimed to be on board the aeroplane. Writing on Twitter, he said, I am on a JetBlue flight at JFK that has lost its communications. Created a security crisis. 10 heavily armed cops boarded the plane and just left. After 1.5 hours on the runway, we were being towed back to the gate. Wow. Tony wrote The Art of the Deal with Donald Trump and was a very vocal critic of him throughout the 2016 election. You recall Tony's hit piece in The Guardian. I wrote The Art of the Deal with Trump. He's still a scared child, Tony Schwartz. Don't go against the Donald, please. you dunce. So it says, I alone can do it. These 5 extraordinary words kept coming back to me as I reflected on Donald Trump's first year as president of the U.S. He made this claim during the speech, accepting the Republican nomination in July 2016. At the time, it struck me simply as a delusional expression of grandiosity. Looking back, I also hear the plaintive wail of a desperate child who believes he is alone in the world with no one to care for him. I alone can do that. I alone can do it, is Trump's survival response to I must do it all alone. What's wrong with that? If you have to do it all alone. He's the only one who can do it. If I had to guess, the cabal was trying to take this plane down just to make Trump look bad, to frame Trump and make it look like he's using government resources to eliminate his personal enemies. Calls for a federal investigation would ensue, and I imagine they'd find all sorts of clown-planted evidence that would trace back to Trump, followed by calls for impeachment and criminal prosecution, yada, 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 dastardly and evil. They keep pushing that impeachment, but it's not going to happen. So these are the posts that I went over before that I read to you guys, so I'll give you a minute to check these out, and he's probably going to decode these, so it says line by line might be useful here. Q lined will be in bold just to distinguish them from my replies. Signal sent, attempt still made, averted. Looks like the cabal was trying to bring down another plane. It fits with the radio failure issue the FAA described, as well as the seemingly aggressive LEO response. If I had to guess, this kind of thing is related to the previously disclosed Earth satellite program, which we theorize was used to shoot JFK Jr. out of the sky that fateful night. John F. Kennedy Jr., QAnon Great Awakening. Another Neon Revolt article. We attempted to follow operations last night and dipped into following some planes. Didn't turn up much, that we understand, but Q had this to say about it. Baited him successfully, I'll say. Q comes back with this a couple hours later. JFK Jr. and Trump were friends. Pretty good friends. Do you believe it's a coincidence? Extreme rhetoric is being pushed while at the same time Rod Rosenstein is on the brink of collapse? Define. Like he said before, the sentences and posts that are in dark are Q. He responds, Neon Revolt does, leftists have been losing their minds since the beginning of Trump's presidency, to be sure, but lately they've really become unhinged. This is what I wrote on a gab earlier today. I call them lunatic leftists for a reason. They don't have any moral high ground, as much as they like to pretend to, because they don't have any objective moral principles which they follow. All they have is selective outrage, and outrage is an emotion based on perception, and their perception is subject to whatever groupthink they are under the influence of in the moment. I've gone over groupthink, and it's a dangerous situation for a lot of people. They are used to being able to employ that outrage to accuse, slander, intimidate, insinuate, threaten, and browbeat their opponents into submission. Which is why womp womp is such a hilarious and stinging rejoinder. It immediately signals that their emotional state isn't going to affect the course of things, which makes them feel utterly helpless. But when it becomes clear to them that their tried and true Alinsky tactics no longer work, their last resort is outright aggression. Remember QAnon's words: attacks will intensify. Be smart, be safe. We've got them on the ropes. On a side note, womp womp is utterly hilarious, even as the lefty on the show lies about a scenario on the ground, child trafficking suspect, and attempts to intimidate Lewandowski into submission with his faux outrage. So you can see that this guy's obviously losing his composure, but it is fake. But it's no coincidence that the GOP just released this video just a few short hours as of this writing. It's become a necessity to increase the level of social pressure against the left. I would advise everyone to share this video across social media as much as possible. The Left Unhinged 2018 Unhinged. So I will definitely post this in the description below. I'm sure you know that is Kathy, whatever her name is, Griffin. And just the fact that she can do this and not be arrested is unbelievable. But yet when I say something negative about the left on Facebook or Twitter, I get banned. So Let's continue on. And then, of course, you have things like Mitch McConnell's car being surrounded by a mob, lunatic leftists surrounding staffers at home, Sarah Sanders being kicked out of the Red Hen and threatened to point where she now needs a Secret Service security detail. That's sad, man. Stephen Miller being doxxed and harassed, and then this lovely bit of work. Burned and decapitated animal left on Homeland Security staffer's porch, report says. You also have lunacy like this flying on the mainstream Gizmodo affiliated site Splinter.com. Yeah, this is just the beginning. And it's a limo that is on fire. Do you think that being asked to leave a restaurant or having your meal interrupted or being called by the public is bad? My fascism enabling friends, this is only the beginning. Wow. Do you think that being asked to leave a restaurant or having your meal interrupted or being called by the public is bad? My fascism enabling friends, this is only the beginning. Read a fucking history book. Sorry for the swear. Read a recent history book. The U.S. had thousands of domestic bombings per year in the early 1970s. This is what happens when citizens decide to, en masse, that their political system is corrupt, racist, or unresponsive. The people out of the power have only just begun to flex their dissatisfaction. The day will come, sooner than you all think, when Trump administration officials will look back fondly on the time when all they had to worry about was getting hollered at a Mexican restaurant. When you aggressively F with people's lives, you should not be surprised when they decide to F with yours. Stop working for this man. Stop enabling him. Stop assisting him. Start fighting him. The people who are responsible for what is happening are not going to get out of this with their happy, wealthy, respectable lives unsaved. This is a country that locks poor people in cages for decades for trying to make $20. This is a country that is tough on crime, remember? And the ones who make the laws are not going to like what happens when America starts to regard them as the criminals. Here is what the chair of the Washington Bar Association had to say. Preston Mitchum, F Trump, F every conservative Supreme Court justice, F civility, F Sarah Huckabee Sanders eating peacefully, F it all. Black Lives Matter chairman. Oh my God in heaven. All bought and paid for though, not organic. And do you remember when all these lunatic leftists were demanding Trump accepts the results of the 2016 election, presuming Hillary would win outright? Yeah, make no mistake, the Democratic Party has become the party of the vile, unhinged hatred and should be publicly shunned as such. It's gotten so bad, something called the walkaway movement has started to gain traction. You know it's gotten bad when you're starting to see this kind of video crop up organically. Is it organically? I bet it is actually with this. Rod Rosenstein must either comply with all the document demands or face impeachment. Two-way failure. If he complies, he fails. Self-implication, known conflict. If he fails to comply, he gets impeached, removed. Ignore the spelling error. Q addresses that in a minute. We've talked about this before, but Rosenstein is stuck between the proverbial rock and hard place. There is no third way out for him here, so I suspect the only thing he's trying to do right now is run down the clock for as long as he can. Why no DOJ text disclosed to the public? Because it would implicate Obama's DOJ in manufacturing the whole false Spygate narrative. So why no DOJ text disclosed to the public? Because it would implicate Obama's manufacturing of Spygate. RR to LL, LL to H, XX to X to X. Now this is interesting here because Q isn't just using periods, he's using ellipses. The first and second are 5 sets of ellipses, which makes me believe the same message was passed from RR to LL and then from LL to H. The third set of ellipses are actually 7 sets, plus 2 periods at the end, so that's clearly a different message. I presented this idea to the boards, and the consensus seemed to be that iPhones automatically generate ellipses whenever you're doing multiple periods. But that still leaves us with 15 periods and 23 periods, respectively. I suspect we won't actually be able to fill in the blanks here until a later reveal, probably when the unredacted IG gets released. As for the H initial, the obvious answer would be Hillary or Obama. But Q has been pretty consistent in calling HRC and Obama, or Hillary HRC and Obama BO, or R for Hussein. He's referring to Haiti before with the H, and H Wood for Hollywood, and even one relating to the hurricanes in early 2018, if I'm rereading Drop 534 correctly. So who is H? And furthermore, who are the X's? Literally no one knows right now. JC to LL, 247X, relevant. If I'm reading this correctly, it looks like Comey had extensive communications with Loretta Lynch. I'm pretty sure the 247X represents the number of text messages they exchanged. Whoa. LL is key to connecting to the White House, HRC, BC, JB, JC, SP, and EH. So she's the bridge, so to speak. And a new set of initials comes at us here, SP. That would be the former U.S. ambassador to the UN, Samantha Power. Samantha Power sought to unmask Americans on almost daily basis, source says. Oh, God. So it says here, Samantha Power, the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, was unmasking at such a rapid pace in the final months of the Obama administration that she averaged more than one request for every working day in 2016, and even sought information in the days leading up to President Trump's inauguration. Multiple sources close to the matter told Fox News. Two sources who were not authorized to speak on the record said that requests to identify Americans whose names surfaced in the foreign intelligence reporting known as unmasking exceeded 260 last year. One source indicates this occurred in the final days of the Obama White House. He didn't put a space there, so that's why there was a reading error. Sorry. Samantha Power sought to unmask Americans on almost daily basis, source say. Where are the JCAM text messages, Gmail messages, burner phone messages, call pulls? The NSA has them because they have everything, just like I said. Coming soon to a theater near you. We're watching the movie play out in real time, so presumably this means these will be going public somehow very soon. PS and LP texts are only scratching the surface. I believe that. Threats of assassination? Yes, refer back to Q Drop 586. And it states here, this is in January 22nd, what would happen if texts originated from an FBI agent to several internals discuss the assassination possibility of POTUS or a member of his family? They are preparing for this by activating progressive activists. None of the protests you are seeing now are organic. These are seeded, designed to embolden the malleable masses into more outrageous and violent behavior. I imagine this is Soros money. Red line. Q highlights the Mockingbird talking point again, refer back. Firing RR equals red line. God, Revolt is very good. Firing Rosenstein would cross a red line for the rule of law, says CNN. And just take a moment to appreciate how far back Q's knowledge extends. He called out the red line language all the way back in January. I noticed that too. I'm putting that down as a Q confirmation. Me too, I agree. Once the documents are supplied and viewed by the Senate and congressional leaders and the public, they lose. They won't be able to spin it. Here come the dominoes. Setup, scam, FISA, abuse of executive powers, illegal spying, frame, insert assets, prevent at all costs. Traitors, all. They know we know. It will all come toppling down very quickly, but until the public knows, it is contained, which is why they never wanted to make it public. The people have the power. They still need people demanding the unredacted versions of the IG report. Seriously, if you haven't talked to your representatives yet, if you haven't signed the online White House petition, what are you waiting for? MSM will portray progressive activists as a large part of the population. This is false. They're already doing it with the little astroturfed incidents that keep flaring up. No possibility of compromise. Do we underestimate our resolve? We stand at the ready. Boom. Q. So we'll continue down. This came out on Monday. Breaking: James Comey personally killed immunity deal with Julian Assange, who could have revealed sources of a leaked emails. If you follow that through the original report linked at the Hill, you'll read the effort resulted in the drafting of a limited immunity deal that might have temporarily freed the WikiLeaks founder from a London embassy where he had been exiled for years, according to interviews and a trove of internal DOJ documents turned over to the Senate investigators. But an unexpected intervention by Comey, relayed through Warner, soared soured the negotiations, multiple sources tell me. Just a few days after the negotiations opened in mid-February, Waldman reached out to Senator Warner. The lawyer wanted to see if the Senate Intelligence Committee staff wanted any contact with Assange to ask about Russia or other issues. Warner engaged with Waldman over encrypted text messages, then reached out to Comey. A few days later, Warner contacted Waldman with an unexpected plea. He told me he had just talked with Comey and that while the government was appreciative of my efforts, my instructions were to stand down. What? To end discussions with Assange, Waldman told me. Waldman couldn't believe a U.S. Senator and the FBI chief were sending a different signal, so he went back to Lothman, who assured him the negotiations were still on. What Lothman said to me after he heard I was told to stand down by Warner and Comey was, "That's bullshit. You are not standing down and neither am I," Waldman recalled. Of course you realize how Comey intervened to kill WikiLeaks' immunity deal. What a bastard. This would implicate Comey in the cover-up of the murder of Seth Rich. Oh my God. Q needs Red Bull? Keck. But seriously, I know that feeling, bro. That's right. Q then comes back with a repost of the old JetBlue airline photo, taking off, right here. This was the shot of the plane over San Jose International Airport, SJC. Here's an older locational proof, because I can't remember if they showcased it before, but it is an amazing bit of work and worth showcasing again. So we see here the San Jose Airport is right here, about 6 miles from center circle to San Jose. The area inside the circle is about where the plane is located in Q's pick, north. So just to show you that, then he reposted this image. Absolutely, that was the U.S. Secret Service was within that hangar. Thank you, United States Secret Service. Protection. The only thread I can see connecting these images is the threat of false flags and dropping these planes out of the sky. I previously wrote my speculative article containing that drop here, but admittedly that wasn't an angle I had considered. And this was right here. I was going to include a quick blurb here about the current state of the site, but instead I'm including that at the bottom of this article because these drops, though few, are explosive. If you're getting a 404 issue, you're going to want to read on below after the drops. I had assumed this was just about protecting who was on board, not stopping the entire plane from going down. So the question, once again, is this. Who was on board that night? I had previously speculated that it was Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but now I have to wonder, would the cabal be willing to sacrifice one of their most valuable and influential people just to protect the rest of them? Some anon speculated that it is actually Christine Assange, Julian Assange's mother, in the front seat of the car, but I have a hard time believing that, especially because anons previously established not only the location of the hangar, San Francisco, but there's also been a lot of speculation that Assange was extracted all the way back in December. So it says the only advantage I can see this theory having is it gives the cabal a motive for wanting to take a whole plane down. So until Q clarifies, I'm really not sure we have a clear answer on the front. I'm not seeing any direct evidence for the Assange connection just yet, but I'm hoping but I'm open to exploring the idea further. I'll leave it up to you to make your own minds up for now. And it says right here, why are we a threat to them? And this is talking about Kurt Schillingback's pro-Trump QAnon. Here he is. Oh my God. Doesn't look bad for his age. Thanks for the free exposure, Daily Beast, you mockingbird trash prostitutes. Absolutely. Bloody hell. Kurt Schillingback's pro-Trump anon conspiracy theory. The former Red Sox pitcher joins Roseanne Barr as a promoter of perhaps the internet's most cultivated tangle of Trump-friendly hoo-ha. Oh, yeah, it's hoo-ha, you dunce. Kurt Schilling was a pitcher, like I said in my last podcast, for the Philadelphia Phillies and for the Boston Red Sox. Keep those articles coming. Everyone hates the lying media, and every article just exposes more people to the movement. Absolutely. Now, this is the biggest boom Q drop this evening, not least of which because it confirms a long-held suspicion of many anons that WikiLeaks has been comped as part of a clandestine deep state operation. And this is what I went over earlier. Why is QAnon leading to anti-establishment Trump voters to embrace regime change and neoconservatism? As soon as I saw neoconservatism, I knew they were comped. Even if he wouldn't have posted, if Q never posted this and I read that, I would be able to tell that it was comped. Theories have flown for a long time about the actual state of Assange ever since DAK landed on 16/10/16. I'll spare you the creepy memes that accompanied it. You can look up the term DAK 16/10/16 if you want to see the bloody memes. But the thing that really convinced Anons that Assange was not where he was being told, possibly captured or otherwise, was this interview with him that was released at a time when the deep state would have loved for us to just forget about him. Excuse me. To be clear, this is some very advanced deep fakes text going on here. Clowns take an actor that sounds like him, film him performing his lines, scan in 1,000 of references pictures, and let a computer overlay over Assange's face onto the actors. I mean, you could definitely just see it right here, but we'll click it. No, I don't. I'm not going to do that. I'm sure you guys have seen it. Tech on here, clans, blah, blah, blah. One big problem, though. It didn't do a perfect job of cleaning up the digital morphing artifacts. Idiots. And Anon spotted it almost instantly back in the day, which had the opposite effect the clowns intended and only helped fuel the speculation as to his whereabouts and well-being. They think we're stupid, everybody. I'm not kidding. Of course, Q rejoinder that they may have the site, but we have the source, should make you all stand up and cheer. But does that refer to the server or Assange himself? Probably both, to be honest. After all, could this mean Q&A reschedule forthcoming? Q&A, Q and Assange? Wouldn't that be something? That makes me smile. And for the record, all I think Q is saying with the dead cat bounce marker is that clowns got a little bit of mileage out of the impersonating WikiLeaks, which is now dead, but ultimately their efforts will fail as they continue to squander whatever credibility was there, and people wake up to the fact that it is no longer controlled by Assange. Q then drops a series of images. We see the plane landing over the bay. Here are all three pics blown up a little. There we go. Again. And again. And these pics were taken in over Shanghai International Airport. Okay, perfect. If you needed further proof, Anons were able to identify the airliner and taxiing on the runway in front of our plane. Boom. Purple bottom of the tail, red middle, gray white. Yep, that's exactly what it is. God, man, these people are ridiculously smart. Now that's what I call weaponized autism. That is a fact. Holy smokes. And I have to wonder if this related back to the extraction we bore witness to in Shanghai, all the way back to early February. I'd link to an article if I could, but this is when I was covering Q on my original Facebook page, the same one that got deleted by Zuckerberg, which inspired me to make this site far outside his influence. But you'll undoubtedly remember the pics all the same if you've been following Q for any length of time, and of course you'll remember they dealt with the extracting of a high-value target from the King Tower in Shanghai. You remember these pictures, don't you, everyone? I know you do. So now I'm wondering if Q is showing us pics after the fact dealing with transporting that high-value target back to the U.S. on that JetBlue plane. Was this a rescue operation? Were they pulling Assange out of Shanghai, loading him on a plane, and bringing him back to the U.S.? That would help explain the non-lethal flashbang residue we saw around the window of the building. I know you remember that. But is that why the cabal was willing to try to take the whole plane down? This obviously differs wildly with my theory about Ginsburg from before, but bear with me here, guys. I, like everyone else, am trying to put the puzzle pieces together as I go, making what sense I can of the information I have. I can only promise you what I always promise. I won't always get it right, but I sure will try my hardest to refine my ideas as I go. Okay, so expand your thinking, access to cockpit, frame of shot. I mean, I kind of assume these were taken from the cockpit, but only so many people have access to it. Pilots, attendants, air marshals, and presumably government agents with appropriate clearance. If this really was a rescue operation, I can't imagine Q team bringing Assange on board a plane with a bunch of tourists and businessmen. But we also can't forget the shipment of phones from China and all this. Presumably, these were on that flight too. I have a feeling all these pics are much older than Q has let on, but it's very hard to say without more information. Thanks for the heads up, Q. It says chatter, trains, buses, be vigilant. Stay away from mass transit, folks. And then we see here, Anon's located the guy with the signed hat in the crowd, very high energy. Boom, right here. So this is from the South Carolina meeting. Got it right here. Whoa. POTUS saw my hat last night. He saw the Where We Go One, We Go All, gave me a smirk, a fist pump, and said thank you. Boom. There it is. I was at that rally too. Nice to know POTUS is fighting for us. And there you have it. Major false flag averted. More possible details about Assange's rescue operation, the Democratic Party sneering its way into irrelevance, and all the dominoes of the cabal getting ready to topple. As always, if you have any particular insights, ideas, or theories, have them in the comments below, and thank you for taking the time to read. Hey guys, thanks for taking the time to read all that. Hope it was worth it. So absolutely, he has t-shirts. If you want to go buy them, if you enjoyed this and you found it informative, please, all foot traffic goes to neonrevolt.com. Just by reading that and listening to me, you have to understand this guy puts in a ton of effort into his work. He's very smart, and you know, I appreciate him much. I respect him a lot. So like I said, if you enjoyed it and you found it informative, please subscribe to my channel. Please give me a thumbs up, and please share it. Also, I have a Patreon account if you would care to donate. All donations will go to merch, which I will pay for the shipping. I'm going to do the Palmetto flag shirt that I had at the South Carolina rally. I think I'm just going to go with that, do a bundle package, and start selling them, man. You know, with a little bit of hashtag true reporting on there for you. And anyways, guys, that's going to be it for me. I am exhausted. It's going on 9 o'clock at night. I'm going to release this very soon. So be safe tonight, guys, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, bye.